So Van Lathan recently announced on his Higher Learning podcast that his co-host Rachel Lindsay had to disable her Instagram due to the hate that she's been receiving from people blaming her for what happened to Bachelor host Chris Harrison. Chris recently announced that he would be stepping aside for a period of time following an extra interview he did with Rachel, where he defended a current contestant attending an antebellum party back in 2018. Saying he didn't want his mistakes to overshadow the season, Chris announced that he would not be hosting the After the Final Rose special in a few weeks, and over the weekend, ABC finally revealed who would be. The duties will go to Emmanuel Acho, host of the YouTube series Uncomfortable Conversations with a Black Man. Acho announced the news on his Twitter, saying that he was honored to be hosting the show and that empathy and change is coming. So ladies, what are your thoughts on this choice and just this whole situation in general?
Well, I mean, I think the reason initially why Chris Harrison was trying to defend the Rachel lady is because he knew that, I guess they pre-taped these shows, so he knew that she was one of the finalists. So I think he thought he was going to try to do some protection, but it just didn't turn out right. I'm glad that ABC chose Emmanuel, because it's like, when you think about it, the final rose ceremony is just, Matt James. The question is going to be asked because Rachel is one of the three ladies. So there needs to be a discussion. I don't think in this instance, they needed a person of color for him to talk to. About the whole situation. And I think it could be a great learning moment. So I don't think this was performative. I think that the network wanted to make a decision. Look, we're all learning. We're all evolving when it comes to trying to make race relations better. And so I think people are trying to do the best that they can. I think networks are trying to do the best that they can. I'm still kind of upset, if you want to be honest, is that the girl is still on the show. I mean, but I know that they pre-taped
she's
the
the one
show.
that
They
actually
pre-taped that.
Exactly. So exactly.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
it. I don't
Yeah,
think it's
no,
a
you know what?
mistake.
I think the fact that, the Bachelor franchise has been so successful. You guys, 25 seasons, and in the 25 seasons, you've had one black bachelorette, which is Rachel Lindsay.
That's a problem.
And now you have Matt James. So to me, the fact that 25 seasons, this is the first time, of course race is gonna come up. How does it not come up? It's like with me joining the Housewives of Beverly Hills. Of course race is gonna come up. Not only is it my life, so we have to talk about it, but it's also when anything is introduced and you've never had it before, things are going to come up. So I do love the fact that they brought in Emmanuel. So like you said, Lonnie, he can have a real conversation with Matt James. And Emmanuel is really great at what he does. So I think that's a good choice. But I also think that, like you said, we're all learning. And I think Chris Harrison is learning. I've known Chris Harrison over the years for a very long time. I can't speak about what's in his heart, but I can definitely tell you that no one's really had to have these conversations before because they were taboo or white privilege. They didn't mean that they had to have these conversations. So I think whenever you're introducing new ways of life, new normal, maybe not for us, but for them, you're going to have conflict. You're going to have people pick sides. And I think it's really sad that Rachel Lindsay had to sort of get rid of her Instagram because she's getting such, bad flack. But I think it's about time that we have these conversations. So it's bound to happen.
Definitely.
I'm still stuck on that part too, Garcelle. I'm like, what does Rachel have to do with this? I don't think that Chris stepping down
She asked
or
the
network making
questions.
this decision.
She asked the questions
Right.
She
that
asked
needed
the
to be
question,
asked.
but as the first
Right, but
bachelorette,
Chris
she has the
answered.
platform to do so.
Chris answered.
Absolutely.
And after that, she even, if you really watch, she even explained further to kind of help Chris, like, you don't mean that this is actually okay now. And Chris doubled
She
down
was trying
on
to
that,
help
you know?
him.
So for me, I just feel bad for her. I wonder,
terrible.
what the anger is coming from, because clearly Rachel did not set him up. It's Chris's answer, and it was Chris's even apology afterwards. So even he recognizes that he did wrong. And so that type of heat and that type of power, I think the Bachelor Nation is such an amazing opportunity for people to have this conversation and to understand more of why the comment was bad and what moves are being taken with the network, what kind of representation, because we all should agree that representation matters. And with such a powerful show and a powerful audience and fan base, I'd love to just see some good come out of it so that we all know that we should be having this conversation. We should kind of understand and agree why these moves, even for Chris to humbly say, you know, I'm going to sit out on this and I just want to, you know, take some time to not focus on me for the show. Like, let's still enjoy what the show is about. I think that's a great, noble answer. And I think that representation matters when it comes to Emmanuel stepping on. So I like the moves in this point.
I want to give Rachel a shout out because it is really hard as a woman of color to speak up, especially to question a white man. And to answer your question, Jeannie, a lot of those people, Bachelor Nation or whatever, they got mad. They got mad because they wanted to blame somebody, so they used her as the face, and they're harassing her. And I understand where she's coming from. There's certain things that I say on this show, and people will try to harass me, send me all kind of things. And it's I just feel so bad that it was so bad for Rachel that she had to disengage from her you know, because that doesn't make any sense. We should be allowed, and this is what this all comes from fear. It comes, you know, we are allowed as people of color to express how we feel about certain situations and question. And like you said, Jeannie, he doubled down. She kept trying to help him get out of his situation. Sometimes it's okay to listen. Sometimes when you don't know about a situation, it's okay to be quiet and go, you know what? I can't speak on that, Rachel, but you know, we'll investigate it or something. And another thing, they always have background checks for a reason. Before you go putting people on a national television show, you do a thorough background check, and sometimes this is what they do. I'm not saying that it was the case, but sometimes they do this so that it's publicity. But
you know, let me just say this though, Lonnie. Even if they did a background check, the person doing the background check, unless they were a person of color, would see that photo and think nothing of it. Do you know what I mean?
That's the issue.
Unless it's one of us at the table, it's going to go right by the person who's checking. Yeah. So they wouldn't even know. So to them, this wouldn't be a red flag of anything, you know? And I think, you know, also Rachel Lindsay
or they're checking to make sure that people aren't murderers.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's true.
Yes. But I'm saying Rachel Lindsay has the opportunity as the first Black Bachelorette to actually speak on this. So we can't fault her for standing up because that's what she should be doing. She's the only one.
We're definitely not faulting. We're not faulting her.
No, we're not.
We are actually. I know, and I'm saying we, as a community, are applauding her. I think it's really sad that they're not doing the same. That they're not recognizing that something happened here that's wrong. And sadly, like Jeannie is saying, clearly they need to be educated because they're just as much an ignorant state of thinking that they're fighting for somebody who made an ignorant statement. Do you get what I'm saying? That clearly the people that are on there have the same mentality, and that's the issue. When you say that this doesn't feel like just replacing him, obviously, with a black person, that could feel like, you know, okay, you're patronizing us. You're just saying, okay, fine, we'll replace him, we'll do this. I could understand why people feel that way, and I think it's because of a long-running issue of, like Garcelle just said, 25 seasons, and no one thought, a black person should be a part of this.
Or
Maybe, you know, that we should expand to Asians, Latinos, you know, like there's just so many, a Middle Eastern person. So I think it's the long-term frustration.
Like, did anybody growing up when the ideal, hot, handsome figurine of a doll was the Ken doll? Like, the Ken doll was always like this, he was the ideal mate for Barbie. And I never saw a man of any other color. It was always just Ken.
Yeah.
And I felt like for a while, for Bachelor, The Bachelor, it was always the Ken guy in every, you know, way, shape, or form, the white guy. And I thought, God, there's so many other beautiful representations of a great man out there, or a hot man out there. But
of a
for
great
me,
eligible
it just
bachelor.
reminded me of that time. I was like, what? Who else? Is there anybody else besides Ken? You know what I mean? So
I think it's that frustration that now with this change and now with these conversations happening, that people are already so fed up at this point, 25 seasons in, that we're rolling our eyes that, okay, great, you changed the person. So I think that's the perspective on that side, and that this happens so often where it's like, okay, you get a slap on the hand and we're just moving in a black person to replace you to make everybody feel better now. That frustration is why people are like, this isn't enough, or like, and the worst part is I don't have the answer to tell you what can fix this long term.
Well,
guys
no,
have the answer?
we keep speaking out, and we keep, when we see certain things, we keep speaking out. We keep casting. We keep doing. This is the reason why this show was made. I mean, I sound like a broken record every year when I say there was a reason for our type of show. There are people that never get to come on Daytime Talk that are people of color. We let them come on our show. There's a reason for everything, but you have to give everything a time. I'm just happy. I hope that they have a real conversation, brother to brother,
That's what I hope.
I hope
on
so,
a
too.
nationwide network, and let it happen, and let it, and people can learn from that. So we're all learning.
I agree.